In this film, there are 3 stories that are connected to each other. The first story tells about Jenna, who suffers from misophonia, a condition that makes her extremely sensitive to sounds. The second story follows a man named Simon who claims he can communicate with the dead. And the third story is about a murder that happens in a library. Okay, without further delay, let's get into the story. In the first story, we see a young woman named Jenna, a college student who suffers from misophonia. In simple terms, misophonia is a hearing disorder where someone becomes uncomfortable or extremely sensitive to certain sounds, such as chewing, slurping tea, footsteps, and many more. Basically, Jenna hates all the sounds she hears. Because of that, whenever she goes outside, she always wears headphones to block out noise. It turns out her condition was triggered by her past relationship with a guy named Tony. Tony was a handsome man who loved Jenna deeply, to the point where he would do anything for her. Knowing Tony was obsessively in love with her, Jenna once told him to prove his love by jumping from a height. At first, Tony refused because it was insane, but Jenna told him that if he didn't jump, it meant he didn't truly love her. Hearing that, Tony finally gathered the courage and jumped while on the phone with Jenna. She heard his loud scream as he fell. Jenna never expected Tony would actually do it. She thought it was just a joke.
Tell me again about the first time.
Life is a problem in search of a solution. That life is a lie. Close your eyes.
Just don't think I can. I'm scared.
We just fucking do it now!
After Tony's death, Jenna was overwhelmed with guilt, and since then, she began to hate the sounds around her. Jenna underwent treatment, but her condition never improved. Eventually, she stopped taking her medication and confessed it to her mother. Her mother was angry when she found out Jenna had quit her meds. Jenna said she was tired of taking pills every day with no improvement. After stopping the medication, Jenna felt slightly better. During breakfast, she was shown feeling extremely irritated by chewing sounds.
Women prefer to be called queen.
Your problem, Jen.
Later that night, she accidentally overheard her parents talking. They said that if Jenna didn't take the doctor's medication, they would send her back to their hometown. In truth, her parents had been very kind. They even lived in a very quiet area with no neighbors just for her sake. Feeling unhappy at home, Jenna decided to run away. Before leaving, she took all of her father's savings and bought a bus ticket to Los Angeles. When she was about to board the bus, she saw a mysterious man. Without thinking too much, Jenna got on the bus anyway. During the trip, the bus stopped in a town, and she saw the same mysterious man again. Feeling frightened, Jenna immediately got off the bus. While crossing the street, she was almost hit by a green car. She then went to an internet cafe to look for a place to stay and finally found a lodging she felt was suitable. When Jenna arrived at the lodging, she was warmly welcomed by the owners, Sam and Ellie. There was also a man staying there named Gavin. While relaxing in her room, Jenna suddenly heard faint noises coming from behind the wall, but it turned out to be just a cockroach. That evening, everyone at the lodging had dinner together. During the meal, another cockroach crawled out from the floor. Ellie explained that there were a lot of cockroaches in the house, and she didn't know where they came from. After dinner, Gavin invited Jenna to have coffee the next morning, and they exchanged contacts so they could reach each other. When Jenna was about to sleep, she experienced a strange delusion. She felt unable to move her arms and legs, and she saw Ellie and Sam measuring her body. Shortly after, she woke up from the nightmare. The next day, Jenna rushed to the cafe to meet Gavin, but he was not there. While ordering a drink, she once again saw the mysterious man who had been following her. Realizing she was being watched, Jenna panicked and ran back to Ellie's house. Out of breath, she told Ellie, who then suggested they go walk in the garden. Ellie loved growing medicinal plants. Feeling that Ellie was a kind person, Jenna opened up about her trauma. How after Tony's death, everyone at school bullied and avoided her, treating her like a monster, making her feel like life wasn't worth living. After she left her parents' house, a mysterious man began following her everywhere she went. Ellie responded by saying the world is cruel and people find it very hard to forgive others. When Jenna was packing her things, Gavin suddenly called and asked her to hang out. Because Ellie's place felt peaceful and comfortable, Jenna decided to stay longer. Ellie happily welcomed her. Jenna usually spent her free time painting whatever came to her mind. One night, she again heard strange noises behind the wall. Investigating further, she discovered a hidden room. When the wall opened, she used her phone as a flashlight, and suddenly, a pale-faced person appeared, making her scream. Ellie rushed to Jenna's room after hearing the scream. Jenna frantically told Gavin to call the police because Ellie and Sam were psychopaths. But somehow, Ellie had Gavin's phone and pretended to call the authorities. When Ellie entered the room, Jenna quickly hit her, knocking her unconscious for a moment, then tried to escape. To her horror, Jenna discovered there were many other victims in the house, which explained the large number of cockroaches. But every exit had been locked, and Jenna was eventually captured. She was injected with something that temporarily paralyzed her. Ellie then revealed that from the moment Jenna arrived, she had been drugged so her mind would become unstable. During Jenna's delusion, Sam and Ellie were measuring her body so Sam could build a coffin for her. Not only Jenna, but Gavin had also become one of Ellie's victims. Even more horrifying, Ellie had placed her own child and grandchild inside the walls. Although the people placed under the floor and behind the walls were hidden, some of them were still alive and being kept in a controlled state. When Ellie was about to sew Jenna's eyes shut, suddenly the mysterious man who had been following Jenna arrived at the house. Ellie went outside, and it turned out to be Tony's father, who had been trying to track Jenna down. He had been going from one lodging to another searching for her. To avoid suspicion, Ellie invited him inside, but then she and Sam quickly murdered Tony's father. Seeing an opportunity, Jenna forced herself to move as her body slowly regained control and escaped through a window. She hid inside a shed, only to find mutilated bodies, victims of Ellie and Sam, which terrified her even more. Horrified, Jenna decided to hide inside a car. Meanwhile, Ellie and Sam were busy cleaning up Tony's father's blood and preparing to dump his body at a mine. They placed the corpse in the car, unaware that Jenna was hiding inside. Once they reached the mine, Sam exited the vehicle and placed heavy rocks on the gas pedal, causing the car to speed forward and plunge off a cliff. The story then shifts to Mary and her son, Miles. Mary only has one child, Miles, who is very ill, and her husband had long abandoned them. Mary works extremely hard just so Miles can receive daily treatment. As days pass, Miles' condition continues to worsen. His father eventually shows up to visit, but Mary refuses to let him enter. Miles then asks his mother where people go after they die. Mary gently answers that they go to sleep for a very long time. Eventually, Miles passes away due to his severe illness. After losing her son, Mary's behavior changes drastically. The once kind woman becomes cold and distant. When a student enters her office, she immediately kicks him out. That student is Simon. Simon tells Mary he knows why she's grieving, because she lost her son. Mary is stunned since she never told anyone about Miles' death. Simon claims that he can see and communicate with the dead. To prove it, he asks to borrow a lab at the campus to contact Miles. The ritual requires Simon to remove all his clothes and turn off the lights for it to work. Without hesitation, Simon begins the ritual to communicate with Mary's deceased son. Strange noises began echoing around the room, and when the lights suddenly came back on, the entire lab appeared covered in blood. Simon, who started convulsing, was rushed to the hospital for treatment. The next day, Simon went to Mary's house and began touching Miles' belongings, claiming that Miles wanted to be with his mother in the afterlife. Day by day, Mary grew more convinced that Simon truly could communicate with the dead, so she started staying close to him, believing he was her only connection to Miles. She even allowed Simon to sleep at her house, and eventually, the two of them became intimate and made love several times. One day, Mary caught Simon making love with another woman. After being exposed for who he really was, Simon admitted the truth. He could not communicate with spirits at all. Everything he did was just an act. Mary's ex-husband had told Simon about her, explaining that Mary couldn't live without Miles, so Simon pretended to speak with Miles to get close to her, and once he succeeded, he easily convinced Mary to sleep with him. Simon then revealed how he staged everything in the campus lab. He paid a security guard to cut the power at the perfect moment. He wrote fake blood symbols on the wall using transparent paint that only appeared when he sprayed ammonia gas, and he used recorded sounds to make the ritual seem real. After finishing his performance, he injected himself with penicillin to fake violent convulsions, acting as if spirits had possessed him. Mary refused to believe she was tricked, but even if Simon's ritual was fake, she could genuinely feel Miles's presence. Suddenly, Miles wrote on a blackboard telling Mary to bring Simon back and repeat what happened at the lab. Reading that, Mary asked Simon to summon Miles again in front of people. Simon refused at first, not wanting to fake anything involving spirits anymore, but Mary insisted until he finally agreed. That night, in front of a crowd, Simon attempted to perform his fake ritual again, but this time, real spirits became furious at being mocked. Simon was dragged into another realm where mysterious stories began carving themselves into his body, and at that moment, a massive blackout suddenly struck part of the city. Now the story shifts to the third plot, following Bennett. Bennett and his driver Steve were ordered to go to a library to collect a debt from a man who worked there as a librarian. When Bennett confronted the man about his debt, the man said he needed more time to pay. After being constantly chased and avoiding payment every day, Bennett grew furious and decided he would kill him. Before dying, the man revealed the location of a mysterious book titled The Book of Blood, which he claimed could be sold for millions of dollars. After giving away the location, Bennett immediately killed him. Later in the car, Bennett and Steve discussed whether or not they should go to the address the man mentioned. They eventually agreed to check it out, a place located on Tollington Place. But before heading there, the scene showed the dead man smiling eerily, as if pleased with his fate. On their way to the location, Bennett and Steve nearly ran over Jenna. Shortly after they arrived at the destination, a nearly abandoned city with no signs of life, dark and silent. In the middle of the darkness, their car suddenly broke down. Bennett got out to fix it while Steve stayed inside. Then Steve saw a ghost, the spirit of his own mother, who whispered for him to take his own life inside a nearby church. Bennett tried to stop him, but it was too late. Steve died horribly. When Bennett returned to the car, it suddenly began moving on its own. With the car beyond repair, Bennett decided to continue on foot, eventually finding a house, which turned out to belong to Mary. Bennett threatened her, demanding she hand over the Book of Blood. It was then revealed that the book wasn't an actual book, but rather the carvings and writings etched into Simon's body. Simon and Mary had now embraced the darkness, gaining control over part of the cursed city so that spirits from the other world could roam freely there. That was why the area had become terrifyingly haunted and completely abandoned. Once inside, Bennett began hallucinating, seeing countless rats crawling everywhere, and in panic, he accidentally stabbed himself. Bleeding and disoriented, he stumbled into the nearby town, arriving at the home of Ellie and Sam. There, Bennett saw Sam carrying a man, who turned out to be Gavin. Without hesitation, Ellie killed him on the spot. Every person who entered the cursed city became part of Simon's flesh, their names and stories written onto his skin. Meanwhile, after the car crash, Jenna was revealed to still be alive, though deeply traumatized. When investigated by the police, they concluded that Tony's father had committed suicide together with Jenna to avenge his son's death. But the truth was that Tony's father had been murdered by Ellie and Sam. A few days later, Jenna was released from the hospital. However, after surviving the accident, her condition worsened. The misophonia became unbearable, every sound torturing her mind. She began having flashbacks of Tony's fall from the building and remembered Ellie's words that the world is cruel. Accepting that she could no longer find peace in life, Jenna decided to return to Ellie's house, the very place where it all began, hoping to finally find calm. In the end, Ellie sewed Jenna's eyes and ears shut so she could feel peace in this world. And with that, the story came to an end.